Am I the a-hole for Thr-atening to cut off my mother after she spent $10,000 of my inheritance on a gambling habit? I am a 32-year-old male and grew up in a family that had, well, its issues. My mom, Carolyn, was always a bit of a loose cannon. Like, I love her, but the woman never could hold down a job for more than 6 months, and her idea of financial planning was basically buy what I want now and figure it out later. It made for a pretty stressful childhood, but I won't get into the weeds of all of that. Fast forward to a couple of years ago. My dad, Dennis, passed away unexpectedly. I was 30 at the time, and while it was a huge shock, I had to step up. I helped with all the funeral arrangements, took care of all the paperwork, and just tried to keep things together as much as I could. I was already kind of worried about my mom's ability to manage things because, well, her track record wasn't great. When my dad passed, he left me a decent inheritance. Not anything huge, but enough that I could pay off some of my student loans, fix up the house a little, and maybe invest in something for the future. But the kicker? My dad left my mom the home. They'd been living in it for years, and I knew she couldn't manage that on her own. But my dad was always adamant that he wanted her to have it. He wanted her to have some stability, even if she couldn't handle money to save her life. The inheritance wasn't split evenly between my mom and me because of the house. I didn't mind. But the other assets? Those were supposed to be mine. A few months after the will was read, things took a turn. I started noticing some weird charges on my credit card statements. Stuff like plane tickets, expensive meals, random gambling sites I didn't recognize. When I confronted my mom about it, she'd brush it off with some excuse about trying to make herself happy or just having a little fun. But I wasn't dumb. I knew exactly what she was doing. She'd always had a bit of a problem with gambling. It started small, going to bingo once in a while, hitting up slot machines whenever she got the chance, but it had escalated over the years. I thought it was bad. But what I didn't know was that she had already spent over $10,000 of the inheritance on gambling. Yeah, you read that right, $10,000. I found out when I was going through some of the financials for tax purposes and saw the huge withdrawals from the joint account we shared after my dad's passing. They weren't for anything normal, like bills or necessities. No, they were for trips to casinos, expensive dinners at places I knew she couldn't afford. The numbers didn't add up, and when I asked her where the money went, she got defensive and angry. "Why are you questioning me about this?" she snapped one day. "I can spend my own money however I want, but it's my money, Mom." I shot back. "You've spent a huge chunk of it already, and you've been gambling with it like it's nothing." Her eyes narrowed. "I'm grieving, okay? I'm dealing with a lot. And if this helps me cope, then you have no right to tell me how to live my life. You've never understood what I've been through." I was so taken aback by her response. I didn't know what to say. She always pulled the grieving card whenever I tried to talk to her about anything she did wrong. But this was beyond just the typical, "I'm sad" excuse. After a couple of weeks of her continually ignoring my warnings, I decided to get concrete proof. I went to the bank. I got all the records, and I saw exactly how much she had spent. There was no denying it. Over $10,000. It was like a punch to the gut. That was supposed to be my future. I had dreams of paying off my debt, securing my future, maybe even starting a family someday. But instead, my mom had decided to gamble it all away. When I confronted her with the full extent of what she'd done, her reaction shocked me. "Are you seriously going to throw a fit over this?" she yelled, getting red in the face. "This is MY money now. You don't get to tell me what to do with it." "I do get to tell you, because it's my inheritance, Mom." I shot back, my voice shaking with frustration. "You don't get to waste it on your gambling addiction." That's when things got really heated. She started saying things like, "You're just like your father, thinking you're better than me, and you've never supported me, not like he did." It was a lot of guilt tripping, a lot of emotional manipulation, and I was fed up. Finally, in a moment of utter frustration, I said, "You know what? If you keep this up, I'm going to cut you out of my life. You're destroying everything my dad left behind, and I'm not going to let you ruin me too." The silence that followed was deafening. She didn't respond. She just stared at me with a mixture of anger and sadness in her eyes, like she couldn't believe what I just said. But then she left. She packed a bag and went to stay with her sister for a while. And for the first time in years, I felt a strange sense of peace. However, this is where I'm unsure. After she left, she called me several times, texting apologies and promising that she would get help with her gambling problem. But I don't know if I can believe her. It's the same old cycle. She promises to change, but it always ends the same way. Now she's saying I'm overreacting, that I'm being cruel and heartless. She claims I'm Thr-atening to cut her off just because I want the money for myself. My friends have mixed opinions. Some say I did the right thing by standing up for myself, while others think I should just forgive her and try to help her through this. My girlfriend is on my side, but I don't want to push my mom too far. I know what it feels like to lose someone, and I don't want to be the one who takes her last bit of stability away from her. So, am I the a-hole for Thr-atening to cut my mom off over this? Am I being too harsh, or did I finally do something right?